Welcome to Culture Today. Today we have three special guests, Daniel Brooks, Deborah Tannen, and Vershana Shanti Young. Our first guest today is Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, how do you feel about the educational system?
I believe that teachers are only focusing on certain sort of people which are collaborative, studious, and disciplined. They aren't focusing on others who actually need it.
Okay, next question. Why did you focus your article on just boys?
Well, today I focused my article on boys because boys are the ones who rebel the most and they're the ones who need more attention because they are capable of achieving things in school, but they don't do so well.
That is very understandable. Do you think it is fair to lower college admission requirements in order for more boys to attend?
No, I don't think it's fair to lower the admission requirements for school. I think if one wants to achieve something, they have to sacrifice through all the hard work and the cost that they have to go through.
Final question, Mr. Brooks. Do you agree with schools prescribing medication to students, specifically boys, who lack attention?
I don't agree medication is the answer because not everyone needs medication. Just because one's behavior is bad doesn't mean they need medication.
Thank you for your time. Next up is Deborah Tannen. Thank you, Deborah, for being here. My first question to you is, why do you think experts and non-experts alike tend to see anything women do as evidence of powerlessness?
I believe that experts and non-experts view it that way because men in our culture have always been viewed as superior. And when a woman tries to match superiority, they're looked down upon and viewed as powerless.
Next question, Mrs. Tannen. Do you view yourself as a feminist?
Yes, I consider myself a feminist because I believe that women should have the prerogative to speak directly or indirectly without being viewed as powerless or without being viewed as a lower status than men.
I definitely agree with you, Mrs. Tannen. Last and final question. Nowadays, if a woman is direct, do you believe they are looked down upon?
Nowadays, I don't believe that they're looked down upon as much as they were back in the day, but I also believe it has to do with the language one carries in a relationship. And what I mean by that is that if a man isn't used to a woman speaking directly and she does, he can view that as crude.
Thank you for being on the show today, Mrs. Tannen. Our last and final guest is Vershana Shanti Young. Hello, Dr. Vey. My first question for you is, do you think it's simply because of your education that the black culture didn't accept you, or is it because of your persona?
I think it's both because of my education and my persona. It's all about code switching. For example, code switching in educational terms is using one language and one dialect in one form, in one instance, and then switching to another dialect and language. For example, if a student were to go to a school and they speak American Standard English, and then they go home and speak a Hispanic or African American dialect. With me, I have an education, and with me, I have a literate way of speaking. So I speak literally with my coworkers and at home.
Okay, next question. What is it that seems so attractive about your culture?
Because of the way they walk, talk, and their masculinity around each other. It's part of my culture. It's where I'm from. But unfortunately, because of my education, I'm seen as less of a black man, and I'm rejected because of that.
That is very interesting, Dr. Young.
Call me Dr. Vey.
Okay, Dr. Vey, in your article, Prelude the Barbershop, you state, instead of negotiating two worlds, maybe they have chosen to live in only one, a microcosm, a subculture of white society that accepts and mandates a certain sociolinguistic performance of masculinity. Have you chosen to accept one style or to live both worlds? And if you have, which lifestyle?
My desire is to reconcile my black identity, to understand what makes a black man from the ghetto. I think it would be easier for me to live in one world, in the ghetto. All I would need is to be accepted. And I think that's why, and Prelude the Barbershop in my article, that the barbers were actually able to live in that world because they had a place of acceptance and with each other.
Thank you. That concludes our show. I'd like to thank my special guest for coming out tonight.